Good morning, this is Jack Dawes, and I'm about to go through the instructions for this MicroForge product that's new from Worksharp and let you know what I think about it and how it works. Before I go through, I'll show you the knives that I've picked to try it out on, and we'll be testing them out over the several weeks to see how it goes. First is a not uncommon blade, probably everybody has, a General Chef's knife, a Suntoku kind of design from Rachel Ray. I'll also be using the same kind of blade design. This is Wusthof from Solingen, Germany. We have a Victorinox set of steak knives. I'll be doing half of the set with the MicroForge, mainly because I'm concerned about durability of the edge and what it really means. I also decided to use a couple of my carving knives. So this is General Duty carving knife, the detail tip knife. Just for fun, I thought I'd do an ulu knife. This is one that I made when we lived in Alaska. It's made for chopping and for general slicing. And also, I found this blade during a demo project that I was doing. It was buried. It's completely dull, no sharpness at all. I have no idea how old it is, what the metal is. So first, I'll use the Kin Onion Worksharp to bring it back and to give it a good edge. And then after I've got a great edge on it, then we'll go and use the new product with the MicroForge and see if that makes any difference. I thought that'd be fun since this is pretty lightweight and we're not really sure what it is. Okay, so now we're going to work through the instructions that came with the set. So this is the set. It kind of just looks like a general ceramic honing rod. It says to give my first impressions, and it actually feels a little off balance and heavy here in the handle. That's where the MicroForge technology wheels are. So the rod just screws in. And it says to give your knife 10 swipes with light strokes prior to beginning. So we'll do that with the Rachel Ray. So right off the bat, one of my concerns with this product is it seems to be designed specifically for kitchen knives, culinary knives, which I think is great. I do a lot of carving, and I'm really more interested to see how it can be put to use in knives other than culinary knives with a different degree of sharpness. There's built-in angle guides here on this handle, which actually is pretty useful. Most ceramic sharpening rods don't have that, so people kind of hack away and do whatever. I do like the rubber tip on the end, especially if you're using it on your countertop. Most people don't bother putting down a cutting board or a towel or something to protect the cutting surface, but also you can snap the rod. So I think that's good. This is actually well balanced now that it's together. I commented I thought it was a little off balance and heavy in the bag, and certainly the rod is very light. But the handle, actually, it feels great when it's together. So we're going to move to the testing of the sharpness. Now, I only did one of those. I keep all of my knives really sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and use this apple. I've already done some test cuts on the apple. You can see it's cutting pretty well. know if you can see that. I can see through it. It's nice and even. These are great cuts. So the ceramic honing rod, no surprise, it acts like a ceramic honing rod. I think, you know, if it didn't, that would be a product fail. The real question here is, of course, what does the MicroForge do? Now, I've done a couple of things for the carving knives. Here's a block of wood. I've already done some rooster tails with both the detail and the general carving blades. So I'm going to MicroForge all these, and then we're going to see what, if any, difference it seems to make on the knife right now at the moment. So the instructions tell us to place it down. The wheel is located right here. Now it tells us that we should take the blade tip first and push through like cutting a sweet potato. Now, I'm not sure if most people would know what that means. I mean, most of us aren't chefs and don't go around cutting sweet potatoes versus Irish potatoes or Yukon potatoes or something, but that's okay. I get the idea. It doesn't tell us about putting pressure except downward, so we're going to do that. So downward pressure and rolling it through. It's very small, the difference. I don't know if the camera will be able to pick this up. That you can see the micro serrations in the edge of the blade having done that. And I suspect if you did not have a properly sharpened blade beforehand, it would be worthless. You need pretty thin metal, I think, in order to get that difference. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. Maybe we can get it with a background, it'll show. But you can see the micro serrations. I didn't expect to actually see those. Okay, so that's one blade. Now let's test it on our apple. We saw our cuts once already. Let's see if it makes any noticeable difference. And I would say, yeah, that actually cut a lot better. It did have a little grip. And I do like the way it glides through. Now, I'd like to see if we can capture that on the skin at all. And I don't see any difference on the edges of the skin. I mean, it's still very smooth. It's very thin cuts. That's actually pretty impressive. It's better. It's a bigger difference than I thought it would be. I'm going to go ahead and do it on all these knives at once and then come back to testing and see what the results are for doing this on the apple. So this is the Wüsthof blade, same blade design as the Rachel Ray. Again, I can see the serrations. And that was one of my concerns. What do those serrations do to the blade? Now imagine as long as you keep your blades nice, and you don't have them thrown in a drawer where they're getting banged around, that's not going to make a difference. And once again, this is a visible difference. That'll be interesting to see on cuts of meat, I think. These are my carving knives. I'll be honest, I've been very cautious about this idea with the carving knife. These are 10 degrees when they're sharpened, and you're kind of going for that nice smooth cut through the wood. And I don't know what effect micro serrations will have from the MicroForge on the wood. So that's one of the things I'm really interested in seeing. These are, not top-of-the-line knives, but they're certainly very good knives. It's good, solid steel. I'll be curious to see what the effect is on wood. So I would say with the carving knife, this short blade makes it a little bit more difficult to push it all the way through to the very edge. So there's about maybe 1/8 of an inch at the back of the blade that didn't pick up the serrations, but the rest of it's very smooth and it picked them up just fine. Now we'll try the detail knife. So that's about 1/4 inch at the back of the detail knife that could not pick up the serrations, but it did a really good job. And I mean, these are very evenly spaced. It looks great. I'm really curious as to what the impact will be. Okay, now we'll do this ulu knife. This will be interesting, the shape of the blade, but we'll just roll it through like we were doing a rolling cut on vegetables. So this is a much thicker blade. So this isn't 17. I keep this really at 20 degrees when I sharpen it. And I don't know if you can see it at all, but the serrations are there, but they aren't as pronounced as on the other edges. Okay, so let's go ahead and give these a shot and see what the impacts are. So again, this is more of a chopping knife, and that was great, super easy. So this chops fine. There's no change that I can tell as far as chopping. If I was using more of a slice, super easy, goes right through the skin. I mean, there's actually, I'd say the serration seems to catch the edge of the skin and cause it to bite, which makes a difference. So I'm expecting that'll play out with meat cuts as well. Here's the Wüsthof. Wow, you can really tell the difference. That did a beautiful job. That made a well-balanced knife operate even better. This is the steak knives. So these are Victorinox, and again, this is the biggest difference, I think, is it seems to grab the material and enable the knife to slice through. That feels really good. That did a good job as well. Now, I'm not going to use my carving knives on food, especially on an acidic apple or something like that. Now, like I mentioned before, I'd already done some rooster tails in this block of wood. So this is the detail knife. Let's see what happens here. Wow, I have to say that is beautiful. I didn't expect this to work for a carving knife. I'll be honest, this has been one of my biggest concerns. I've voiced it on the forum. Let's take a bigger chunk and see what happens. These are beautifully smooth cuts. I'm not getting any of the problems I was anticipating. I thought that the serrations might actually make this blade bite too much and cause uneven cutting, but I mean, these are beautifully smooth and thin shavings of wood. And I'm not seeing any sign of the serrations in the wood at all. There's no marks worth commenting on. This is just doing a beautiful job. And you can see that for yourself. Definitely a winner on the detail knife. So this is the general carving knife, a little heavier blade. And again, wow, what a shaving. That's beautiful. Now I'm already curious if I were to do a stop cut. I mean, that's biting perfectly. Here's a typical stop cut. I don't know if the camera's going to focus on it very well, but that's a typical stop cut like you would do while carving. And I mean, that's very smooth. There was no catching. It just went straight in and stopped exactly where I wanted it. I feel like there's great control with the edge. Well, we all know a sharp knife is a safe knife because you can control it better. But that serrated edge has just done a beautiful job. And the blade isn't breaking down. I mean, I'm not getting any bending. I'm not getting any warping here on this edge going against something as tough as wood. And it's not a matter if I'm going across the grain or with the grain. It's still keeping nice, smooth, even cuts. I have to say the instructions were very clear and easy to understand and implement. Pushing this through a wheel once and expecting it to make a difference, it did. It was visible difference, and you could actually feel the difference while cutting. These edges did better immediately. I am really surprised by that. So Workshop, great job. I didn't expect a Worksharp to do that big of a difference immediately. I'm pretty impressed. Let's see if I've left anything out before I close out the video and go on to further testing. I don't really have any concerns except maintenance of the edge, but that seems to not be an issue. I'll let you know with the carving knives in particular if those serrations seem to make it break down any faster going against a tougher product than food. And with the thinner edge, 17 to 10 degrees is a big deal when you're talking about a metal edge. It was super easy to use. I'm pleasantly surprised, actually. I think it's a better product than I was even hoping it could be. So so far, so good, and we'll see what the future holds. Thanks. I hope this video was useful. And thank you, Worksharp, for picking me out and letting me test your product.